Good afternoon. My name is Diego Sepulveda, and today I'm gonna read about Here Comes Generation Z, Millennials as Managers. As the workplace continues to change, a new generational cohort, Generation Z, sometimes referred to as iGen, is beginning to enter the workforce. At the same time, millennials are now progressing in their careers and will be challenged with managing these incoming workers. The purpose of this article is provide a contextual overview that identifies and illuminates some of the defining work-related characteristics of these two youngest generation in the workplace to increase understanding of the potential intergenerational conflict between these cohorts and develop leadership strategies that can be utilized to increase employee morale and productivity. This article analyzes the Millennium Supervisor Gene subordinate relationship based on generational core theory, leader member exchange theory, and the work values framework. For several years, research management and writers have discussed changes in the workplace due to the influx of workers from the millennial generation. Numerous books and articles look at the unique challenge created in organization by millennials, and prescriptions have been offered to help managers deal with their needs, wants, and expectations of individuals from this generation. At present, millennials make up the largest single generation cohort in the US workforce, outstripping both baby boomers and Generation X, given the size of this group. In this, perhaps not surprising that much effort has been devoted to understanding them and seeking to improve their effectiveness as work. What seems to have scared attention is that the first of the Millennium Tour, 39 years old in 2020. These early millennials will be entered their 40s in the coming decade. The late millennials, born in 1996, are now entering their mid 20s. Given the nature of organization, many of the millennials are no longer entering the workforce in the workforce. Indeed, many are now first-line supervisor or are entering my-level managerial position through natural career progression. We have moved beyond asking how should we manage millennials as millennials have become managed themselves. Who do these millennials manage? In many cases, the early millennials are managing the late millennials. Early millennials move into their 30s. They become mid-level managers and are managing the later millennials, who are in the mid or late 20s or even early 30s. This is as should be expected given the nature of progression of individuals and generational course through careers and organization. But there is another group entering the workforce called Generation Z. This person born between 1995 and 2012 have been referred to as iGen to reflect the internet generation. They have always had the internet as part of their lives. Their cell phones have always been smart. Their homes and schools have generally had person or laptop computer. The first of the Generation Z cohort started graduating from high school in 2013 and college in 2017, with approximately 74 million in the cohort. These persons are the next generation to enter the workforce. As Generation Z enters the workforce, in many cases, their first level supervision and or superior managers are millennials. While much has written, research and recommend to baby boomers and Generation X regarding leading and managing millennials. Presently, there is a relative scarcity of similar offerings for millennial managers on how to manage the newest generation cohort, the Generation Z workers. This is the next logical progression in the demographic composition of organization, and millennials will likely encounter challenges in managing this newest cohort, just as baby boomers and Generation X face with when dealing with the millennials. Since the entry of Generation Z is a relatively recent event in most organizations, this might be expected. After all, Millennials managers have only had to deal with Generation Z workers for a few days. Recognizing this, in this article, we use certain existing frameworks to examine the relation between millennials as manager and supervisor, and those being supervised as the newest generation in the workforce, Generation C workers. We use leader we use leader member exchange theory and the work values framework as a basis for conducting an initial inquiry into the alignment of millennial managers and Generation C workers. We then use this analysis as a basis for providing recommendations for researchers and practitioners for understanding and managing the workplace interactions between these generations. A generation is a group of people of the same age in a similar social location experiencing similar social events. Articles and books focus on the assumed class and collision of generation in the workplace with the belief that generations differ in values, attitudes toward leader and behavior, and that a lack of understanding among the generation regarding this difference leads to intergeneration conflict and detrimental effect on communication and working relationship. One of the possible conflicts among generations is in the workplace lies in the area of management and leadership. That area both influences and is influenced by difference among the generation retention, values, motivation, work style preference, and the perception of what it means to be a leader as well as the concept of what it takes to be a good leader. In this article, we focus on the two youngest generations in the workforce, millennials and Generation Z. Millennials, sometimes referred to as Generation Y or Gen Y, are individuals born between 81 and 95. In the USA, they number about 80 million people. They are called millennials because they were raised in the digital age and sign of the upcoming new millennium. Millennials have officially become the largest generation in the population as of 2018 and represent the largest percent of the workforce. As a whole, millennials have been described as well educated, optimistic, collaborative, sociable, and open minded. Millennials were raised during the decade of the child, during which time parents were actively engaged in the child rearing process. During their formative years, millennials experienced the culture war. They include fights for equal rights for homosexual and the debate of abortion rights as well as racial and ethnic diversity. Millennials were often sheltered because of concern about child safety and security. As a result of the parental and social upbringing that tended to emphasize building self-esteem through praise, recognition, and positive feedback, millennials have been referred to as the most praised generation. Research suggests that the result of their upbringing have led millennials to feel confident and assertive, and entitled to praise and recognition. Because there is a growing power vacuum and managers from older generation live or climb even higher. Millennials are the most plentiful candidate for the field to fill the position. The millennial generation on the workplace has received increased increased attention as it has been shown that millennials demonstrate different attitudes, values, beliefs, and aspirations in the workplace compared to previous generation. Millennials thrive on challenging work, caring more about creative expression than leadership roles in organization. They are entrepreneurial thinkers who release responsibility, demand immediate feedback, expect a frequent sense of accomplishment, and have a high need for organization, engagement, and support. Although millennials have an urgent sense of immediacy, they adapt well to new place, new people, and circumstance, and can thrive in environments with consistent change. While there will always be exceptions, millennial managers can be described using the following terms: collaborative, flexible, transparent, casual, and balanced. They have been identified as idealistic, taking pride in their behavior, confident, and having high levels of personal scrutiny. The shift to the millennials as manager has been not in current popular press and media outlets. Various internet posts have recognized that millennials are beginning to move into managerial and leadership positions and have speculated on the impact of this shift for the workplace. This has led to some notable observations. Millennials managers are more prone to delivering consistent, ongoing feedback and more adept at virtual teams and digital communication. They value collaboration over competition and want to work for companies that reflect their values. Millennials managers tend to be purpose driven, emphasizing the need to make a difference in society and their organization. They work to develop a flexible management style with an emphasis on agility. Millennials managers are viewed as generalists rather than specialists. They have a broad knowledge base. They are team centric, wanting to build strong, cohesive teams with an emphasis on diversity and inclusion. They are comfortable using multiple modes of communication and tend to be more data driven in decision making. As millennials move into managerial position, they will take the results of their life experience and their early work experience within developing their managerial approaches and methods. They also have been influenced by the world in which they can age, with globalization, political unrest, economic turmoil, having shaped their worldview. Despite this observation, to date, there has been relatively little academic research that has examined that attitude, behaviors, and practice of millennial managers in a rigorous empirical manner. This may this may be due in part to the fact the millennials in managerial position are a relative new organization phenomenon. Then 10 to 15 years ago, books and articles began to appear concealing baby boom and Generation L managers on how to manage to millennials. To date, there have been few attempts to help millennials who are becoming managers deal with the responsibilities of managing in the modern workplace, unlike their managers who had a wealth of material to use as a reference and guide. Millennials at present have relative little systematic theory based or empirically based content as they approach a similar problem, managing the next generation entering the next workforce. Este artículo nos habla sobre el cambio generacional en los lugares de trabajo que se aproxima, en donde ya nos menciona la llegada de lo que es la generación X, la generación Z, perdón, que siempre han tenido de alguna forma el internet o los teléfonos smart a la mano. Y sería un choque muy importante porque en la actualidad la mayoría de los jefes, digámoslo así, pertenecen a la generación de los millennials, la generación Y, que son catalogados como una de las mejores generaciones que han existido porque se adaptan mucho al cambio y traen ideas innovadoras para su lugar de trabajo y moralmente les gusta trabajar en lugares que reflejan digamos, sus gustos personales. Entonces, va a ser un cambio muy notorio porque la generación Z no es que tenga como muy buen agrado entre las otras generaciones, porque se les reconoce como una generación que quiere las cosas muy fácil. Entonces, es difícil pensar que una persona con esas cualidades llegue a ser un buen jefe de área. Así que un cambio que nos tocará afrontar muy pronto. Muchas gracias.